Hans Duda had just gotten a bus, kind of an old school bus, but it was the first bus in the movement, the first Sankirtan bus. And he was talking about having this world Sankirtan party and travel all over. And, everyone was excited about that. And he was telling Prabhupada about it. And, so Prabhupada said, when Prabhupada would go on the morning walk, Prabhupada said, one morning he called Hansa Duda and said, "Let us go for a ride in your bus." And Hansa Duda was, "Oh yes," he was all excited. And but then when we went out to the bus, we realized Hansa Duda, they had taken all the seats out of the bus. It was just this floor. He hadn't yet done anything with it. And Prabhupada couldn't sit like that, but there was no seat. So I got some chair from the temple, some kind of a chair. So what I did is I had to hold this chair down there was no way of attaching it to the floor. I had to hold it on the floor, and Prabhupada sat in the chair. And all the devotees piled into the bus. Everyone was very excited. And where we're going to go, a ride with Prabhupada. So, and then Prabhupada started giving directions. I think Ramandev was driving, and Prabhupada was giving directions. Turn here, go on this road. And he was driving, and Prabhupada said, "All right, now turn here." And in this way, Prabhupada was giving all these directions. And everyone said, "Where are we going?" Nobody knew. No one was bold enough to ask Prabhupada where we're going, but Prabhupada knew where he was going. And we're going throughout Boston, and Prabhupada's giving directions. Devotees are all chanting 100 beads. And we go to the downtown area, and finally we come to the waterfront, the dock area, and boom, there we are, Commonwealth Pier. And actually, no devotees had ever been there or even seen it. Prabhupada didn't tell us so many details about Islam. He was always talking about Krishna. So, and even when we got there, we didn't really fully realize where we were, but this was actually the place where Prabhupada had first entered America. And so anyway, Prabhupada started walking, and we were all clustered around him. The devotees are walking on this big pier, and these big roads, and there's kind of all these warehouses are there, and factories and so on, and we're walking amidst all these big buildings, and Prabhupada was preaching, and as he always did on his morning walk, and then he was talking about pure devotional service, very important, pure devotional service. And of course, the word unalloyed, Prabhupada would always use this word, unalloyed. And it's kind of an exotic, this unalloyed devotional service. Because unalloyed, of course, unalloyed means alloy, it means a metal where you have alloys. An alloy is metal made up of many different kinds of metals. And Prabhupada was always saying unalloyed. So that meant without many metals, just one metal. So, and Prabhupada was preaching, and he was talking about unalloyed devotional service to Krishna, and Lord Chaitanya, and so on. And then at a certain point, Prabhupada was talking about this unalloyed, and he took his cane, and he said, "Yes, unalloyed devotional service. And he pointed with his cane, and we all followed the cane. And there was this huge sign on this warehouse. It must have been, like 100 feet long, a big, huge thing, the whole building, and it was Unalloyed Steel Company. And we all looked and said, yes, unalloyed. And Prabhupada was using this word, unalloyed. I mean, that was probably one of the first sites he had. And Prabhupada used that in his preaching. And then he took us there and showed us, unalloyed devotional service. Very simple instruction, but he used it, he made it so graphic. Just like a teacher would use on a blackboard and write the word, and take the pointer and show. We were like that. Prabhupada used to call us his students. We were like these young students, and Prabhupada is showing us. Prabhupada went to Mauritius. We had some devotees there. They were preaching, and of course Mauritius is the Prime Minister, the population of Mauritius, I think, is something like more than 50% is Hindu. They're from India originally, mostly from Bihar. Historically, the British had brought them there to cultivate sugar cane. So anyway, Prabhupada was to meet with the Prime Minister. He's no longer Ram Gulam. And so when Prabhupada arrived, the Prime Minister, I think he had some affairs. He was busy with some other affairs. Anyway, he gave Prabhupada one of his personal limousines, which is a very nice. It was a Citroën. Citroën are very special cars. They're made of aluminum. They're not made of steel. And they have this suspension system. It's like an ambulance has, where it's like you're floating. Anyway, he gave his limousine, and there was this army officer who was the chauffeur, driver. So anyway, Prabhupada was there for a few days, and primarily he had come to see the Prime Minister. I had an occasion I had to make an international phone call. I went to someone's house to make the call. While I was there, I was watching TV, and on the TV it showed the Prime Minister cutting the ribbon on a big project that he was inaugurating. What was the project? The project was a chicken processing plant. And it showed how the chickens were taken, and there were these machines going around, and the chickens were hung on these by the neck, and then there was this knife cutting, and and then the feathers, and then the whole thing, and then out comes a chicken ready for cooking. And it was shocking to see us all on TV. This was a gift from the French government to the people of Mauritius. And I was there. Of course, they would then probably sell all the fertilizers and the chicken feeds and all the, these foreign aid projects are all tied in with, it's actually a business. Anyway, so I mentioned to Prabhupada that I saw the Prime Minister. When I mentioned what he was doing, Prabhupada said, "Oh, then he's Hindu," and he said, "I cannot meet him." So Prabhupada decided not to meet him. So because it meant the man had no principles. So anyway, so there were some days where there was really no programs scheduled. So Prabhupada thought to we'll go for a ride. We had this big limousine there, and the officer, he had nothing to do, and Prabhupada wasn't going. Brother, let us go for a ride. And so we all arranged it all. And Mauritius is a very scenic, very beautiful place. It's kind of pristine island. So Prabhupada is riding in the back seat. I'm sitting next to him. Pushta Krishna was in the front seat. The driver is driving, and we were whizzing along. It was very pleasant. These sea breezes, the beautiful ocean, sky, and everything is very nice. These sugar canes growing. We were driving along the coastline, and beside him, Prabhupada had his cane, and Prabhupada was enjoying it very much. Had the window down and the fresh air, and he was sitting cross-legged on the seat, back seat, and so Prabhupada was enjoying, and then at a certain point, I didn't realize, I didn't notice it then, but later on, Prabhupada spoke. At a certain point, Prabhupada just took the cane and put it like on the floor and was holding it like this with his two hands. Just after taking the cane, we just made a turn on the corner around the bend, and immediately, there was not a second to react. It happened so fast, head-on collision. What it was an event we found out, a tourist from South Africa was driving on the wrong side of the road, and that was it. So we just hit. It was boom, head-on collision, and everyone in shock. The driver, he's full of blood. He's just I didn't know what his condition. I pushed to Krishna. The glass shattered. He's wounded, blood. I also with my arm gashed. Prabhupada had blood on his dhoti, his knee, and we're all shocked. My first reaction, which was a little bit maybe inappropriate, I just put my arms around Prabhupada and just held him. It was just so shocking. And Prabhupada didn't say anything. And then Pushta Krishna was out of it. I was the only one who could function. I don't know, somehow I just got out of that car. The other car was a Volkswagen. It was man and woman, and the woman, she was like unconscious, and the man, he was getting out of his car. And anyway, I realized I got to get Prabhupada out of here. And I didn't even know where we were, and I didn't know where our house was. I didn't know anything. And anyway, then after a while, a car comes by, and now Mauritius, of course, is it's an Indian place, and there are very few Western or white people. So anyway, this other car, the car that we had, they were white people. The car that also came, there were white people there. So anyway, I tried to stop the car. The car just went right by. They didn't want to. They saw this accident. They didn't want. Anyway, then another car came by. So this time, I stood in the middle of the road. The car stopped. So the car stopped, and I went up to the people in the car, And I said, please, we need help. My grandfather, I don't know what to say. I said, my grandfather is injured, an old man. Please, you have to take us to the nearest hospital. So they said, okay. But they also saw the other car with the woman. The woman was, they saw Prabhupada, they saw he was in India. Then they see this woman, she's unconscious, she's full of blood. Prabhupada just had a little bit of blood, but she was really bad. Volkswagen, head-on collision. So and then the other man was wanting for his wife, he wanted attention for his wife. So we were competing, and so they were saying, well, maybe we should take her first, because they didn't have much room. And I said, no, you take us. And the other man said, no, we want to go. And I just slapped the car. I said, you're taking us, and you're taking us right now, and let's go. There's no... So they said, okay. And so I took Prabhupada out of the car, and we went and everything. Prabhupada is absolutely silent, never speaks a word. I put him in the car, get in the car, and then these people start driving. And anyway, we're getting in the car. The only reason they were taking us because I forced them. And we get in the car, and they said, well, we don't know where the hospital is, and this and that. And anyway, we're going over here and to our hotel, and you can go to the hotel. And I said, no, we want to go to a hospital right now. And so Prabhupada didn't say anything, so I knew whatever I was doing, Prabhupada was agreeing to, because he didn't say anything. So... but then I could see these people weren't helping us, and they didn't even want to take us. They didn't want to find the hospital. They just wanted to go to. So I realized being with these people, this was not good. I just told, all right, stop the car. They're not going to help us. Stop the car. And they stopped the car, and I took Prabhu. We got out of the car, and then they left. And there we are, standing in the middle of nowhere, and I don't know where to go again. Lost, And then another car comes along, and I stopped that car. But this car had 3 Indian guys in it. And they saw Prabhupada, they were, offering respects, and, Swamiji, and I said, yeah, take us to the nearest hospital. Get in the car, we'll go to the nearest hospital. Then Prabhupada said, no, take us home. No hospital. So I didn't even know where our home was, and we had to. Eventually, they could understand where it was and so on. And so anyway, they were very happy to take us immediately home. Because we were all the way on the other side of the island. It was quite a drive. So we go home, and the car pulls in. Harikesh Maharaj was there. He didn't come with us. He stayed. He was doing the transcription. He stayed back. He didn't know what was, because we left in a limousine and we came back in this junky old, with 3 Indian boys, a junky old car. And then Prabhupada gets out of the car and there's blood on his door. He's just shocked. And Prabhupada's not speaking anything. Just goes into the house, sits down in his place. And so we had to dress. There was a wound. We had to dress the wound, clean it, and then Prabhupada was saying that now he wants to go back to Bombay. Prabhupada never wanted to leave Bombay anyway, even for any other tour, because Prabhupada was very much concerned with the Bombay project, getting the land, fighting all the government, the municipality, the local politicians, the residents, the seller. It was just a constant battle. It required constant supervision. Prabhupada had to do that. So then Prabhupada said, let us immediately go back to Bombay. So, and Prabhupada never spoke about it. One day a letter came, Prabhupada was in India. What had happened was that Prabhupada was having these big public programs in India. And one evening, some man challenged Prabhupada. He was actually a Arya Samajist. Anyway, he was saying that, oh, Swamiji, you have come here to India with your Western chalas, and but we know all these things. This is our culture. We have all these things, and so better you go, to the other places, and do your work there. And all right, you have been to the West, but what about the Muslim countries? What about Pakistan? You should go to Pakistan and preach there and make them devotees. So this was in a big public, one of these pandals, thousands of people. So Prabhupada said, so you are challenging us to go? And he said, yes, I challenge, yes, you challenge you, you should go to Pakistan. So Prabhupada said, all right, we will go. And then Prabhupada wrote a letter to me, immediately go to West Pakistan, he wrote me, and he wrote to Gargamuni, you immediately go to East Pakistan. And we got these letters, and we immediately left. I don't remember everything was said, but Prabhupada said, immediately go. Immediately meant, boom. The next day, I didn't have any money. They paid for my bus from Florida to New York. I didn't go. And we left immediately. Gargamuni, he had money and he flew. I had to go. I had to go by overland to India, hitchhiking, buses, trains, whatever way I could go. That's how I went. And then, of course, the war was beginning. Actually, then Prabhupada then found out about the war situation and the hostilities between Pakistan and India were. This was the 1971 war. Prabhupada wrote a second letter saying that I don't advise you to go at this time. But we never got that letter. We had already left. So we walked right into a war situation. Gargamuni, especially East Pakistan. I mean, when his plane landed at the airport, there was no transportation to go into the city because there was no cars on the road. He had to walk from the airport into the city. But just by we went, of course, in our sannyas dress and so on. Just by the time he arrived in the city, he had to walk something like 20 miles from the airport to the city. By the time he arrived in the city, he had thousands of people following him, just wanting to know who he was, what was going on, and so on. So anyway, we were preaching and we were trying to do something, but it was so difficult. And I was in Karachi. Just north of Karachi is the Sindh Desert. It's the hottest place in the world. I mean, it averages 125 degrees. I mean, it's the hottest place in the world. I'm right there, and it's in May. It's the hottest month. I mean, I was just so sick, and with the dysentery and so many things. So, and I had no books, and the people are spitting on me on the street and threatening to put a knife in my back. And we had kirtan, and people would come up and just, rub off the tilak, and spit, and what a situation. So anyway, So then finally I sent a telegram to Prabhupada, who's in Bombay. Of course, Karachi and Bombay is just not far at all, a few hundred miles. I said, can I get out of here? I mean, I wasn't supposed to be there anyway. Prabhupada said, don't go. And there we were. So so Prabhupada said, all right, come immediately. So then, and then of course they made those reports. It appeared in the Pakistani papers first published it, and then the Indian press picked it up, and they published it. 4 Hare Krishna missionaries shot, and Prabhupada's and Karanda came and showed Prabhupada the newspaper, and it didn't give any names, but it said 4 Hare Krishna missionaries shot. So the Gargamuni was there with Pushta, I was there with Jagan Nivas. So there were 4 of us, although we were in different east and west. Shot, Prabhupada, my God, shot, and so Prabhupada was very disturbed, and he had Karanda go to the embassy and find out this, that, and everything. And actually, Prabhupada thought we had been shot. So, so then I sent a telegram. So Prabhupada said, yes, come immediately. It said, come immediately, Bhaktivedanta Swami, 4 words. Oh, those are the best 4 words. And, I mean, to get out of the country was a big thing. Somehow we were able to get out. And so I came to Bombay, and I found out where Prabhupada was staying, Akash Ganga. And I went there, and I walked in the room, and Prabhupada, I mean, he just immediately got up from his seat, and he came over, and he just put his arms around me and just hugged me to his chest, and then he took his hands, and he was just putting his hands all over me. I mean, just like a mother. The child had been hurt or something, and the mother is just seeing that the child is still intact. I mean, he was just so, he just embraced, it was just so.
Hare Krishna. So we saw just now, we heard His Grace Brahmananda Prabhu, how wonderful pastimes and experiences he had and he performed in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So I am very, very honored to receive this opportunity to glorify Prabhuji. Also, this is after a very long time I am getting to read about Prabhuji. So it's my great fortune. So I will take opportunity and ask blessings from all the devotees and the acharyas. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpataru Vyaksha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna. So I will be sharing a small presentation over Prabhuji. So let's see the presentation and we'll get to know these things about Prabhuji. So just for an introduction, as we know that Brahmananda Prabhu is a big name in the history of ISKCON, who joined and did a tremendous amount of service, sincere service in the mission of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And served tirelessly Srila Prabhupada. Just now we heard how just Prabhupada said, you go to Pakistan. Immediately on that same day they left. No money, just same day, but left. So this was the spirit and dedication of Prabhuji. So just, see some very wonderful points about his personality, about his qualities. So he was, as it's known, devotees often referred to him as Big B. B means he had a big heart, he had a big body, and he had a big vision for Srila Prabhupada. So he used all these things in the service of Srila Prabhupada. And along with that, Prabhuji was one of the most foremost sons of Srila Prabhupada. Why it is said like that? You know that if you read Srila Prabhupada pastimes, Leelamrit, the first person he actually met was Haigriv Prabhu, you know, who started transcribing, translating the editing Srila Prabhupada's manuscript of Bhagavad Gita. You know? The first person was actually Haigriv Prabhu who came to the movement. So the second person was actually His Holiness Kirtananand Maharaj, Keith, who started helping Srila Prabhupada. And after that, actually Brahmanand Prabhu came. But when a reporter came and asked to Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, can we know who is your first disciple? So immediately Srila Prabhupada said, Brahmanand. So in the audience, there was Kirtananand, at that time, Keith. So he just raised hand and told, no, Prabhupada, actually I came before him. I am your first disciple. Sorry, I am your first disciple. So Srila Prabhupada thought for a while, yes, Kirtan comes before Brahma, and everybody started laughing. So in that way, why it was being referred to like that, Prabhuji's brother Garg Muni Prabhuji was mentioning, because actually Brahmanand Prabhuji was the first one who started donating or supporting the movement. Brahmanand Prabhu was working as a teacher in university, and he was getting a salary of $400 like that. And he came to Srila Prabhupada and he said that I want to join, I want to become your disciple, I want to join the movement and want to leave my job. But Srila Prabhupada said, no, it's not necessary. You do your job, work, and offer the results to Krishna. So what Brahmanand Prabhu did, actually Brahmanand Prabhu used to offer the whole check of $400 completely to Srila Prabhupada, like that. Just see. So actually the rent of the storefront, matchless gift, the gas bill, the electricity bill, and what everything was needed, whole thing was being paid by actually the Brahmanand's Prabhu's salary, $400. And rest all we are giving some donations, $20, $30 like that. But the main support of actually Srila Prabhupada's movement at that starting point was Prabhuji's salary. And in that way, Brahmanand Prabhu actually gained Srila Prabhupada's trust. And when there was a talk going on for who will be the temple president of this Second Avenue, 26th Second Avenue. So many were suggesting Kirtananand Maharaj and like that. Srila Prabhupada said, no, Brahmanand will be the president. And why Srila Prabhupada said like that? Because Srila Prabhupada saw the leadership qualities and the role of responsibility what Brahmanand Prabhu had actually. And of course, Brahmanand Prabhu had that skill and all qualities. And he took that responsibility and expanded tremendously. So just for an introduction, that was why Srila Prabhupada considered himself as his first disciple, like that. So Prabhuji's birthplace was Upper Manhattan. Krishna specifically placed him at this point, Upper Manhattan, USA, on 14 July 1943, and his name was Bruce Carve. So he was from childhood curious about spirituality, and he was working in a tramp ship as a cook. And that ship used to, you once visited India, and then when Prabhuji got down into India, he saw temples and he was impressed by the spirituality and culture there. So when he went back, he took Hindu philosophy in course in the New York University. And actually he was getting interested, he was searching for something and like that. And when finally he met Srila Prabhupada and in 1966, then his search came to an end. Therefore, when he actually, when he met Srila Prabhupada, then he felt like, he writes that he felt like something was new was going to start, as if somebody is going from a place, somebody is taking an airplane, leaving something behind and going forward. Prabhuji was feeling like that in connection with Srila Prabhupada. I'm leaving something behind and going forward to a journey like that. So as I already mentioned, Srila Prabhupada gave him Brahmanand a name, and then he used to offer Srila Prabhupada's salary, and then he became the first temple president. Also, he did many wonderful projects. He actually raised funds, and not only he, actually his brother also joined. His brother is who? Garg Muni Prabhu. So Prabhuji also joined, seeing them. And then at certain time, their mother came to Srila Prabhupada to meet them. So his mother was talking with Srila Prabhupada, what is going on, how these boys are doing. And Srila Prabhupada was explaining to them, these boys are doing like this, and I am trying to engage them and properly feed them. It's difficult because we are collecting donations. So the mother said, yes, I know, and you are surviving on donations, and to feed these boys, it's difficult actually, like that. So Srila Prabhupada was jokingly, actually, he said, Mrs. This means, I forgot her name, Mrs. This, like we are facing like this, and can you give some donation to the temple, like that? So immediately Brahmanand Prabhu's mother told, I have given you 2 sons and you still want more donation. So, yes. Okay, that's all right. Srila Prabhupada told. Already 2 sons you have given. So in that way, her their mother was also appreciative, and but she was also like in a bit of annoyed, because both of their 2 sons, she once told, at least one son you can keep for me. Both of the 2 sons you have taken. But she was happy actually. Hmm. And then Prabhuji in that way contributed a lot to printing Srila Prabhupada's books and developing Sankirtan. Actually, he was the Sankirtan leader. He started book distribution and so many projects like that under his leadership. And because of his leadership, the devotees were very inspired and they were full of energy actually. So Brahmanand Prabhu had wonderful uh, contributions. He managed printing and distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam, Back to Godhead, and he arranged for production of books. There is one pastime actually, very nice. And Srila Prabhupada wanted to print his Bhagavad Gita, but who will be the publisher? So all of you have noted the first publisher was Macmillan Company. So that at that time, Macmillan was a big name. So Brahmanand Prabhu was asked by Srila Prabhupada, you go and meet the editor or manager and tell them we want to publish Bhagavad Gita, like that. So Brahmanand Prabhu was in like anxiety, what he should do. He was asking Prabhupada, should I take your further books, some Back to Godhead magazine, to show them that this is our like strategy and these are our like previous works, so that he might get impressed. Srila Prabhupada told, no, you don't take anything with you. You just tell them we want to print Bhagavad Gita. So again, Brahmanand Prabhu was trying to, should I take some books like with me? No, just go and tell to them that we just want to print Bhagavad Gita. just this much. So Brahmanand Prabhu went to them, and he met an accountant there, and actually he was not in the role of publishing, the accountant whom he met. But just as he was meeting him, suddenly a man came from inside cabin, and the accountant introduced him as the chief editor of Macmillan Company. And Brahmanand Prabhu was very happy, so he just proposed to him, actually we wanted to print Bhagavad Gita. As soon as that publisher heard Bhagavad Gita, that's what we were looking for actually. Yes, in our religious book series, this was the only book which was missing. We will print it. Brahmanand Prabhu was in shock. They didn't even look at manuscript, what we are going to print. They just told, yes, we will print it, like that. So Brahman Prabhu was very inspired, and he came back hurriedly to Srila Prabhupada and told him what happened. Brahmanand Prabhu was very much, what we can say, excited. But Srila Prabhupada was responding, okay, like that. Because as if Srila Prabhupada knew that already what was going to happen. He already knew, like that. So in wonderful pastimes, Brahmanand Prabhu was very intimately with Srila Prabhupada actually, and connecting his personal secretary, and you can say as a bodyguard, Brahmanand Prabhu, because everybody was used to fear just by his looks, and he used to move the things. So once, just now, we got to meet Prithu Prabhuji. So Prabhuji was telling Brahmanand Prabhu was so, like, what we can say, so mad after prasadam. Once he ate 82 gulab jamuns in one while. He ate 82 gulab jamuns. So they had to carry him to upstairs. He was not able to move, like that. So he was full of energy. And then in similar way, Brahmanand Prabhu, like you already got to know, Brahmanand Prabhu was sent to Pakistan to preach. And then Srila Prabhupada sent him to Africa. He was rolling the globe. Srila Prabhupada was rolling the globe and seeing where we have not yet preached. And then he pointed out Africa. Brahmanan and Garg Muni, you should go to Africa. You go there and he go there, like that. So Prabhupada has so much confidence in him. Yes, Brahmanan Prabhu can do anything. Prabhuji went to Africa, he preached there, and gathered. It was very difficult. He gathered congregation, started preaching, and results were coming. People were participating. Suddenly, Srila Prabhupada called him back. Where? To Bombay for his Juhu project. The Juhu project was going under so many difficulties. Srila Prabhupada said, yes, Brahmanan, you come back to Bombay. So he said, Prabhupada, this is starting in Africa. It's getting up. Now it's the time, like, we can establish. Now you just come back. So immediately Brahmanand Prabhuji came to Bombay, and he started contributing there. And meanwhile, in Africa, since he left, everything again started to go back. So again, Brahmanand Prabhu was sent back to Africa to re-establish the same thing. Then one more pastime I would like to tell. So Brahmanand Prabhu was so wonderful leader actually. You know the case of Mayapur, what happened there? So many dacoits had attacked Mayapur temple. Once when the attack was going on, so they shot some of the dacoits like that. Prabhupada told them that you all keep guns and you can, like, if necessary, we can fight. And then they shot some of the things. Some devotees also got injured, like that. There was a fight. Then police came, and police, without any like investigation, and who is the temple president, and they took Brahmanand Prabhu. How Brahmanand Prabhu was taken? He was bound up by the hands with a rope, and in the public he was being dragged, taken away. So it was so insulting actually. And when Srila Prabhupada was in final pastimes in Vrindavan, when Srila Prabhupada when came here, in his final pastimes when Brahmananda Prabhu came from Mayapur to meet him. So Srila Prabhupada, when he heard that Brahmananda Prabhu has come, so Srila Prabhupada started crying actually. You know, he told, just see, due to me, how much Brahmananda Prabhu has to undergo so many insults. Publicly, he was insulted because of me. Srila Prabhupada started crying actually. And Brahmananda Prabhu also started crying like a child. And there was so much deep, loving relationship between Srila Prabhupada and Brahmananda Prabhu. So in this way, Brahmananda Prabhu contributed in the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And on June 7, Prabhuji left this world in the Vrindavan Dham. So we all pray to his lotus feet that he had so wonderfully, dedicatedly served Srila Prabhupada, and we can also develop that spirit to serve the pure devotees of the Lord and engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness movement. Hare Krishna. So thank you very much for giving me opportunity. So yes, so many wonderful pastimes about Srila Prabhupada's disciple. They are amazing actually how they started and got this movement to spread all over the world. It's an inconceivable, Guru Maharaj used to say it's an inconceivable miracle. It cannot happen. It's impossible, but it happened. It's an inconceivable miracle. And these were the devotees who actually did that for Srila Prabhupada. So we offer our millions and millions of dandavats to their lotus feet to pray to them that someday we can also serve our Guru and the Srila Prabhupada Parampara in such a way. Thank you very much for joining. Hare Krishna. We'll meet next time. Jai His Grace Brahmanand Prabhu ki Jai. Jai Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.